Welcome everybody to Haven of Horror. I am Subject879. Got Thedayghost. Good to have you on the show, buddy. Always appreciate when you're here. And you've talked me into watching a couple movies today. So what are we talking about today?
We are talking about The Fly,
A
another
Vincent Price
remake of a
movie?
50s movie.
Have,
No, the David Cronenberg remake.
have you seen the original? Okay.
No, I just know Vincent Price is in it. So
That's why I want to
that's
watch it.
reason enough for me to check it out.
Alright, so The Fly centers around Jeff Goldblum playing Seth Brundle, who is a scientist working on teleportation, but it won't work on flesh. You get a really nasty scene where a monkey is turned inside out. It was cool as hell. But eventually he gets it right and then decides he's ready for human testing. And a fly zips in and he starts turning into a fly. And if there's anything this movie taught me, it's that flies should be eradicated because they're disgusting creatures who get in the way of things. Not what I expected. This is kind of first and foremost a romance movie.
That's what I was gonna say. You missed out on like the entire plot with your description, which is he gets Gina Davis's character, who is a journalist, to kind of study what he's doing so that she can write a book about it. Because this movie thematically is very much based on STDs.
Okay. Interesting.
Where this kind of that's what they were going for. Like it's being with somebody who gets AIDS or something like that. And that's kind of the thematic thing of this woman who is dating this guy who becomes the Fly, and then how that affects him and how it affects her.
See, I'm gonna be honest, I just got out of it. Your typical science is bad. I would have never picked up on that AIDS metaphor.
Mm-hmm.
But that's interesting.
Yep.
Yeah. So, like I said, first and foremost, this is a romantic tragedy. Obviously, things don't end well when you become a fly. This is David Cronenberg's probably biggest film. I think everybody, even if you haven't heard of David Cronenberg, you know what The Fly is, right?
Well, yeah, The Fly. I mean, visually, the original Fly is probably the more recognizable thing. The scientist man with the fly head. But people definitely know The Fly.
So in our Blob review, you had mentioned that this is part of a trilogy with The Thing and Blob as 80s remakes.
Not technically in my head, yeah.
Well, I was getting there as movies that are remaking 50s movies in the 80s and upping the effects, the gore, the blood, and in this movie, sex. I guess. Where would you rank this in those three?
Probably second. Because the Thing is The Thing, but also
yeah, neck and neck. Yeah.
Yeah.
This
like I said in that one, I think the Blob is the weakest of the three, just in terms of looking at them together. And then The Thing and The Fly are but they're also very different movies.
Interesting. I think I would put this
second.
This
is a movie with basically three characters too.
Yeah.
Really, maybe 3 locations too.
Which surprised me that had a bigger budget than the Blob. But it also made 4 times as much money as the Blob.
It also had bigger actors, and I'm sure a lot of that effects work was probably a bit kind of harder to pull off.
There are some scenes in this
perfect.
I cannot believe they pulled that off.
Yeah, no, this fits in with The Thing where it's I don't think there's really a bad effect in the movie. It's just very perfect, and it's one of the most beautiful beautiful films that makes this movie's disgusting, and that's the point.
But we'll get there. So I guess the first thing we should talk about is, I think, what makes or breaks this film. How do you feel about Jeff Goldblum and Gina Davis's relationship in this movie?
I think both those actors are awesome. I think they both do a great job in this movie.
Well, you know what's interesting
Absolutely.
is they were married during.
Oh, I didn't know that. That's weird.
This
I
is
can't
their
picture them as a couple in real life. I can picture it in the context of this movie.
This is the
That's
second of
interesting.
2 movies that they did. They were married from 1987 to 1991.
Oh, okay, interesting.
And I think that
This
helps their
fits in with
chemistry.
yeah, and this movie also fits in with my just great sadness that Gina Davis did not have a bigger career.
She is awesome. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I've only seen her in a few things, but I agree with you. I wish she had been in bigger things, or at least things that I want to see. But don't
But
forget,
yeah, and
she
Jeff
was in the
Goldblum's
Stuart
really
Little
good in this.
movies.
Oh, of course. Yeah, Jeff Goldblum's awesome in this movie, of course. His entire story is very tragic, but he does a very good job physically too, where he's this person, and then when he kind of mixes with the fly, the kind of fly twitches that he does, where it's the kind of, you know what I mean?
Of the movies that I've seen him in, which admittedly are few and far between, this might be his best performance. I like him in
I
Jurassic
think
Park,
so.
but he's just kind of weird guy in that movie.
He's the comic relief in that movie, yeah.
Yeah, in this he's doing a specific performance that evolves as the movie evolves. And
Yeah, because Jurassic Park kind of sets his career in a sense, and then a lot of movies try to go back to that. But he's just like I said, he's the comedic relief for that movie. While here he's this really tragic character.
although his hair did make me
And the
laugh in this
entire
movie.
time, it's very sad.
Yeah. Although I did laugh a couple times at the start of because of his hair. It's just that 80s dude thinking.
Oh, his really long hair, his mullet.
Yeah. No scientist would have that mullet. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it looks good.
So, what is your favorite effect in this film?
Okay, I'm gonna have to go with at the end of the movie, because the big thing is that this movie, he doesn't just walk out of the pod and he's fly head. It's a very slow process of him becoming more and more fly like, and so we get him, he's kind of got a rash on his face and so forth, and then his teeth fall out, his nails come off, his ears fall off, all this just different stuff. But the reason why I setting it up is because it's towards the end, which is where Gina Davis grabs his jaw and it rips off, and then his face opens up, and it's got the fly creature living in his skin, and his skin all peels off of it. Specifically because when his face opens up, it squishes his eyes together, and they squish, and just liquid leaks out, and it's insane.
That was that scene made me go, "Oh my god!" But right before that, the scene where he spits on creepy stalker guy and dissolves his foot and his hand off, I was like, "Oh my god, what the hell? He's gonna eat him!"
Oh, oh yeah, it's very disturbing.
It's like that build up, right? Oh, we're gonna tease you with this. Oh, he's deformed. We're gonna tease you this, and then you just go full balls to the walls. His jaw just came off. He just melted that man's hand.
Yeah, exactly. And I know a lot of people squirm when you see things like him peeling the nails off and stuff like that.
Oh,
And then he squeezes his finger and the pus shoots out.
that would be a painful process, right? Oh,
In real life, but I don't think it's supposed to be painful for him because it's just like his body's like changing. So it's like
Mhm.
almost more so like his body kind of like grows in a certain way, and then it's just things that aren't needed, and it just kind of falls off. And that's why he has his little museum dedicated to Brundle that he keeps in his mirror.
Uh, the the dream sequence with the baby also got me because I didn't know what the hell I was looking at for a second. And then I realized it was a nightmare.
Yeah, that's really gross.
It also set up a
They,
sequel to this movie.
yeah, they pull like the egg sac out of her.
Well, see, that was just a vision of what the sequel would be.
That's why it was a nightmare.
We mentioned with the Blob that this movie is very well paced. That movie was very well paced. It was never boring, even though and this is also never boring, but it's a different kind of pacing, right? Like this is a slow, methodical, like we're gonna make you wait for what you came here to see.
Yeah, well, it's that Jaws thing, right? Like you're just kind of waiting for it, and that build-up is really effective. It's not, the 2014 Godzilla thing where it's kind of too little, too late by the end. Like by the time we get the fly, like it's awesome.
This movie made me feel bad for a fucking giant fly. Like,
Yeah, no, I love the ending of this. So, Jeff Goldblum, Fly Brundle, as he calls it, or Brundlefly, as he calls himself. Um, he realizes that if he goes into the kind of teleportation device with other people, it can like make him more human than Fly. So he's gonna put like himself and Gina Davis's character in it, and the like the boyfriend who at the start is kind of brought up as like the creepy stalker one, and ends up being more good. Like he's definitely not like a good person, but like helps her out more in the latter half,
mm-hmm.
and he kind of like shoots because initially there's two pods. You go in one, you teleport to the other, but he makes like a new setup where there's two pods, and then something goes in each. Those both like combine into a third pod. So the like boyfriend guy disconnects the one that she's in, and then Brundlefly breaks out of the pod that he's in, and the pod, it's just the one, but it like merges both the pod because it's open and the fly. And when he comes out, and he's like a mix of like wires and machinery, sorry, and like the fly, it's just like, oh my god. And Gina Davis gets a shotgun and he like pulls it to its own head. It's definitely feel bad,
I feel bad,
even though
and
he's like evil.
yeah, well, it's not really him that's evil, right? It's the
It's the
fly
fly, man.
instincts. Um,
Hmm.
and I think that's what this movie was smart to do, is make this a tragedy. Um,
Yeah,
because like me personally, I love a good horror tragedy. What I love so much about Carrie is like that is very much a tragedy first. Um, but I think this movie lives and dies on him and Gina Davis having chemistry, which apparently they were married, so I mean they better have some kind of chemistry, even if it didn't
yeah, I think they
last.
work really good in this. Yeah, absolutely.
Even if it didn't last. He's been married like 3 times.
Like the movies.
Well, yeah, I mean he turned into a giant fly and she had to put him down. That's why I haven't seen him in anything
Exactly.
big since Jurassic Park 2.
That makes sense. Yeah. Yeah. Both times I've seen this, I've had that kind of reaction of like, man, like it sucks to see this character like fall this way.
He was the chosen one.
Mm.
He was supposed to destroy the flies, not join them. Oh man. But I think it's interesting that they were going for like the STD reference metaphor because obviously, when this came out, that was a big deal. But I think there's a few different like readings you could have on this. I think there is definitely a little bit of like messing with things that you shouldn't be messing with. Um,
That's just inherent to the fly as a thing in general. Yeah, that goes back to the original.
yeah, and I had another one, but I forgot.
Yes, it wasn't really a read.
I guess we should also mention this movie had anywhere from $9 to $15 million budget, which is also insane with how good the effects look. Like, I've seen $10 million today, and it does not look as good as this movie.
Yeah, even there's the part where Brundlefly is like crawling along the walls, and like you know how they did that, but like there's a part where he gets back onto the floor, and there's just so many just small details and stuff on like the actual floor. So in order to do that like kind of flipping thing, they would have had to staple or like nail down every single thing there, and it's just like it's insane.
Yeah, they clearly had to think that out, and it's one of those things where it's like that's really cool, and like I applaud them for that effort. But I'm sure every filmmaker's relieved they don't have to worry about that as much nowadays.
Mm. This also looks better than most movies nowadays, though.
Yeah, we're not quite there with CGI. We're getting.
Depends what it is.
Yeah. As long as it doesn't like clip through the floor, you know.
Oh God.
Fuck you, Alien Covenant. Yeah, it was a little weird at the beginning because like they're never explicit about her relationship with her editor. At least at the beginning, like she goes more into details after the incident occurs. But yeah, he's really creepy at the beginning. Like, what are you doing, dude? Calm down.
Yeah, because he's basically like the villain in the first half, and then in the second half, he's the one that's like helping out Gina Davis.
Yeah.
Not that he's a good person, but shades of gray, I guess.
Yeah, I mean it's that thing where we have a worse thing to worry about now.
Yeah, exactly.
Jeff Goldblum is Fly.
Should be scared of Jeff Goldblum in general, but now he's a fly.
Maybe that's why he's been divorced like 3 times. He's really just a crazy person.
Well, yeah, 'cause he spits bile at things.
Oh god, that's still. Oh, that's the other thing that you could read about this movie is just that the human body is disgusting, and then it's even more disgusting when you mix it with fly DNA.
Yeah, I think that's just like Cronenberg's like filmography. Yeah.
Yeah, his son's got a movie out, Possessor, that I want to watch. Because apparently it's
Nice.
very golden age Cronenberg. Have you seen any of his other films? Okay.
No.
Well, Austin, I think we've covered pretty much everything. Is there anything else that you want to mention?
No. Do you want me to give my ranking?
I do want to say real quick though, the baboon made me smile. The one that lives.
In general, you saw a baboon and you smiled.
No, he's got that baboon for the testing.
Yeah, no, I know.
I hate you sometimes. But no, the one that survives and then like runs up and hugs him. That scene made me smile. It was nice.
Oh, when he gets transformed, yeah.
Yeah, that's what. Because the first one gets turned inside out, and then the second one survives, and it's like hugging him and shit. I was like, oh, what a nice
Well, yeah,
monkey.
and I was just reading that one also would have died, but they cut that scene.
Oh, interesting.
He would have mixed it with a cat.
Oh God.
Yeah, but apparently it was like test screeners did not like that scene because it was too like horrifying and graphic.
Well, no
And
shit.
it made Goldblum's character look like too evil.
Mm-hmm. That's some Full Metal Alchemist shit. Yeah. So go ahead and give your ranking, and then I'll do final thoughts.
I'm gonna give this movie a 5 out of 5 because it's awesome. And I don't really have like any negatives with this movie. Like it's really good. Everybody should see it.
I am also going to give this movie a 5 out of 5, which means it goes on our 5 out of 5 list that I'm maintaining. And yeah, there's no downside to this movie. It's just it is a really good movie. You want a tragic romance, it's got it. You want disgusting body horror, it's got it. You want to see Jeff Goldblum do weird things, you got it. Like, there's no downside to this movie. Go watch it if you haven't seen it already. Well, guys, that is our review of David Cronenberg's The Fly. These will probably be up Monday. I might try to put one up Sunday. If you haven't already, check out our Insidious commentary. It should be up as soon as Austin figures out how to upload it to the Google Drive so that I can edit it. And we will see you guys back next week. And depending on if Austin is available, we're going to do some fun movies. One of them he's going to hate me for because he hasn't realized that it sucks yet. But no, Austin, as always, thank you for hanging out and talking movies with me. And we will see you guys next Saturday or next upload. Have a good one.
Yep. See ya.